You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCCW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Oh man. Good morning, Montgomery County. It is good to be back in the studio today. I am going to jam to some Ezra. I'm antsy. I've had only 2 cups of coffee, but I have not had much sleep in a week. And I did not get, last night probably 30 minutes, then an hour sleep. Awake for 2 hours, then an hour sleep. I am just antsy. But I'm also antsy because it's a beautiful Friday morning. Jake LeFleur, the engineer, the intern, the sports radio talk show host is here. He's got his sidekick posse here. And Jaden, right? Yes, there you go. Jaden from the John Cooper School. He's here. And we're having fun, folks. I am not going to drive you crazy like I normally do on a Friday with just bouncing off the walls yet. But I might. Because I just kicked myself into gear. My guest is here. Remember, the camera doesn't go on her or him yet, or them. But I was just talking to this person a minute ago, and I don't know, man. I felt like I was like out last night or something. I just flew in from Florida, got in around 11 o'clock. Man, what a fiasco. Delta Airlines, all the employees of Delta, no offense to you. I'm glad you have a job, but I don't like you, Delta Airlines. You stink. Advantage Rent-A-Car, I love you. I love your policy, and I love the way you treat people when they have to make last-minute things. Customer service, that's what it's about, let me tell you. But it's Friday. Here in Montgomery County, there's a lot of listeners that want to find out what's going on. I'd like to think that they're listening because I'm just so effervescent, but that's half of it. The other half is, folks, because we are about to have a world premiere announcement of somebody who's running for office here in Montgomery County. Why is it a world premiere? Because you're listening to Lone Star Community Radio. My show is Montgomery County Lifestyle with Nathan Arrazate. And you're listening to it on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. You're listening to it at www.irlonestar.com, the Google Play, the iTunes. And we've got people overseas that listen to this. We literally can look and see who logs in to irlonestar.com. And there's people overseas every single day and in other parts of the country that are listening. I don't know if it's people working overseas. I don't know if it's military. If you're one of those, would you send something into Montgomery County Lifestyle on Facebook? I would love to honor you and thank you for your support. So it's a world premiere. Somebody's going to announce their candidacy. It's somebody that I've known for a while. It's somebody that I like. It's somebody that I trust. But it's a double-edged sword because the person, the office that he's running against and the person, I like that person too. I'm friends with that person too. So here's a good time for me to remind everybody. You need to get out and get informed, and you need to find out what's going on, and you need to vote. You need to get involved. Somehow you get involved, whether you volunteer to support your chosen candidate, whether you just get out with a sign that says get informed and vote, whatever. You got to do it. Montgomery County Lifestyle is going to push every candidate that would allow us to push him. I am for hire to drive traffic to your fundraiser and your forum. We're good at it. And we want everybody. There needs to be more than one person usually out there. I know if I was in office and I was an incumbent, I wouldn't want anybody. I know that. But in the process, the political process, you've got to be involved. You just can't roll over and go, oh, well, he said this or she said that. I hate them all. You can't do that. If you do that, you know what? Then change the channel because that's wrong. I'm just not going to put up with it. You got to be involved. You got to pick a side. It also doesn't mean, like some of the people out there that say, well, if you're not for me, you're against me. That's how we roll. Whatever. You don't have to be against somebody just because you're not going to vote for them. I have people on both sides. There's elected officials that I don't trust and don't like, but I'm going to be polite and nice, and I'm going to tell people to go to their forums and go check them out, because that's what you do. And I'm also not, what's her name? I'm not Ashley Judd. I'm not Johnny Depp. I'm not Sean Penn. You don't have to listen to me and go with what I say. Go with what I say about getting involved. Heck yeah, you need to do that. But if I say I like candidate X, you know what? You choose. You decide. So, folks, I want to give a quick shout out. Bear with me for a minute, but I need your prayers. Absolutely, I need everybody focused. If you're somebody that goes to God and you pray, then I need it. This is Nathan talking. This is not necessarily anything for Lone Star Community Radio or others. This is me. Long story short, I've been out of town, went to Florida. My father-in-law had a catastrophic situation happen at 5:30 Saturday morning. It all culminated within a matter of minutes. He stopped breathing. There was a catastrophic amount of time. There's brain damage, and he's in ICU, and the outlook right now is very bleak. It is not positive. Statistically speaking, to come back from this vegetative state is a miracle, and only a miracle. Can it happen? Absolutely. Is modern science and medicine available to do stuff? Absolutely. Statistically speaking, it's a rough road. My mother-in-law, Mama Rose, is awesome, strong lady, but golly, when you're married to somebody, when you're in your 80s, it's tough. And my wife's family is leave it to Beaverland. They grew up New York Italian up in Woodstock, and they had the leave it to Beaver family and childhood and adulthood. So to my brother-in-laws, Greg and Al, hang in there, man. It's tough on them. Jennifer, it's tough. The grandkids, it's tough. So they're still in Florida. It's probably going to be a long road, So it's just tough. So, you guys, make sure you call your parents. Make sure you call your brothers and sisters. And if you're at odds with anybody, God dang it, man, extend that olive branch. If they don't accept that olive branch, you know what? That's on them. But make a phone call, make a text, make an email. If you're sitting at home right now and somebody's near you that's a loved one, hug them. This spiraled out of control in minutes. So, I love you, Lou. They said they might download the app. Lou, you big goofball. I made some cheese dip the other night before I left, so would you frickin' wake up and eat my cheese dip? You know you want to be a Texan. He loves my cheese dip, by the way. Chili con queso. And my hot sauce, Nate's hot sauce, he loves it. He's not supposed to eat it because it gives him agita, but he eats it anyway. And he loves my margaritas. I haven't made any in a long time because, we've been good lately. We don't do that stuff anymore right now. But I love you all. Jen, Mama Rose, hang in there. So, folks, that's my public service announcement. Say prayers for Lou. Say prayers for his family. And just go frickin' hug people. Quit being so mean out there. Be nice. So, all right, a lot going on this weekend. We had 2 replay shows the past 2 days. We had Victoria Inslee, City of Conroe on Wednesday. And Thursday we had a replay of Lauren and Fallon Wiesner. Go to Montgomery County Lifestyle YouTube channel. Log in, be a subscriber, and just watch. Our show today is going to be released tomorrow morning. And then next week it'll be on Channel 12 suddenly. Folks, get involved. Get involved. We're fixing to have a lot of stuff going on, not just for the political side, but just we're having some great commentaries. Wonderful guests are coming on, and it's all about bringing the community to you, the community. I'll put out there how you can be a sponsor. I've got some people that just committed to being that. Thank you. And we'll announce that also because that's part of an announcement. So get out there and have fun today. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a short little break. And when we come back, we're going to announce a candidate for the position in Montgomery County of... You listen to Montgomery County Lifestyle, Nathan Arrazate on Lone Star Community Radio. We'll be right back.
Lone Star Community Radio is ready for the summer. If you or anyone you know is looking for summer internships, Lone Star Community Radio is a great place to learn the radio and TV business. Contact the station at info@irlonestar.com. or call the station's message line at 936-647-3776. Lone Star Community Radio offers a great opportunity to those interested in learning about the radio world.
Ezra, Charles, Texas, Boogie Woogie. Good morning, Montgomery County. Forgot to tell you out there, good morning to you in Splendora, New Caney, Tamina, The Woodlands, Magnolia, Montgomery, New Waverly, Willis, City of Conroe, Cut and Shoot, Texas, and everything in between. Thank you for listening. Folks, we are here at Montgomery County Lifestyle with Nathan Arrazate, and we're on fire. And here's what we're going to do. I'm fired up. I just decided that I'm going to be fired up. It is what it is. I also need your prayers for my mom. I didn't say that. We don't normally talk about it. My mom's in rehab. She broke her hip. 2 weeks ago today, she broke her hip. She fell on a Friday night. Didn't go to the doctor until Tuesday. She couldn't walk anymore on Monday night. Yeah, she walked Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday on a broken hip. So she was in the hospital, had hip replacement surgery. So, Vitra, I love you too. Dad, I love you too. Folks, got somebody in the studio. And I'm going to go and tell you it's a man. He's not a handsome man, but it's a man. And he is going to be running for the position of Montgomery County Commissioner. So I'd like to take the opportunity. We're going to throw it to him. And I'd like to introduce you to Brian Dawson.
Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Good. There's your world premiere.
Hey.
There's your world premiere. Yep. You are the second world premiere announcement. Judge Claudia Laird was in a week ago.
Yeah.
And she officially announced her running.
That's a good one.
Her rerunning, whatever. She's
running for re-election?
Running for re-election. There you go. And so she officially announced it. We decided that's when we figured out it was a world premiere because we've got people overseas listening. So
oddly enough, fun fact.
Yeah, so you're the second person, no offense.
You know what the funny thing is? Judge Laird and I went to rival high schools.
Get out of here.
Yes.
I'll be darned. Did you know her then, though?
I did not.
Yeah.
I did not. It was one of those weird things that pops up that you find out about somebody. I get a message from her. She's like, you went to Dickinson. She's like, I went to Santa Fe. I'm like, we can't be friends anymore.
I went to Dobie for 2 years before I moved up here, so I was down in that area then, too.
But it was, what makes you realize what a small world is.
Yeah.
I remember when she first ran and was elected, and it's been years and never knew.
Yep.
Never knew.
She was cool because she talked about being a wallflower.
Mm-hmm.
And she found out after high school that some people thought she was kind of snobbish and stuck up only because she was so shy. And she just was, kept to herself. So, all right. So, Brian?
Yes, sir.
I want out of your words to tell me what you're doing, what you're running for, and then I want you to tell us who you are and tell us about Brian.
Well, you said it. Made the announcement I'm running for Commissioner of Precinct 2. It was not an easy decision. But unfortunately, Nathan, looking at the state of the county, looking at what's going on, looking at evaluating where we're headed, what I realized is we're facing the big challenges we continue to face, specifically in Precinct 2, are the same things that we talked about and faced in 2014.
Okay.
Very little has changed. And when we're growing at the rate that we're growing, it only compounds those challenges, and we've got to change our approach. We've got to bring a different approach. I know it'll be a hard race. I know it'll be a good race. And I'm looking forward to having a good, solid exchange of ideas and the opportunity to present those ideas to the people of Montgomery County and Precinct 2 and let them make an informed decision. That's what we're here for, is to take that, give them ideas, tell them the direction we would go, what we believe, and let them make the decision on what they think is best for Montgomery County.
Well, I want you to know, we've talked about it, but I want the listeners to know as well, too. We don't play gotchas here. Mm-hmm. Whenever somebody's going to announce candidacy or they're coming on for the state of the office, it's about you using this time to talk about what you want.
Right.
As we get more into the race, as we get more toward, a month or 2 or 3 or whatever, then every position that there's an incumbent and somebody running, I want to throw the invite out, not only for them to come on individually and have their time to their voice, but then the second or third time, I want to have like some debates. I'm going to bring up what's already been brought up and what's important. if there's something that hasn't been brought up, this isn't a time to screw anybody over or grab them or whatever. I'm going to let the other freaks out there that get, high off of doing that, let them do that. Especially the people that hide behind the fake Facebook and the fake, you've got the fake news and you got the people calling out the fake news, and guess what? They're all fake, period. I don't have an agenda other than I want the community to get involved and make a choice. Right or wrong, make a choice. So today, to the listeners out there, this is Brian's chance to talk about what Brian wants to talk about. I'll bring some stuff up. But the biggest thing that's on my mind, and it kind of bugs me, I'll be honest, is the person you're running against, he's a friend of mine.
I understand.
I like the guy. I love his wife. She gives great hugs, And I do.
She does.
And I'm not being silly.
Indeed.
I like the guy. How does that work into you? When here's somebody that you've said off the air, we've talked, you respect him, you like him, you may have differences, but how does that work, man?
Well, and that's part of what I said a while ago, it not being it being a difficult decision. I like him too. We've never had a cross word. And you're right. His wife does give great hugs. But this is not about he or I. This is about the people of Montgomery County, the people of Precinct 2, and the taxpayers. And we can like each other. We don't have to develop any personal animosity to disagree on politics and to disagree on policy. We have a different idea about how things should be done and how we should pursue and the county should move forward. And that's okay. And that's what we need to, that's the point we need to get to what you said is it's okay to disagree. This country was founded on the ability to disagree. Right. And we need to realize and remember that that's okay. So that's why I'm looking forward to having a good discussion. I love the opportunity to debate. I think that's an aggressive word, but to have that free.
Yeah, some people use that in a negative way.
But I just the ability to go back and forth on ideas and talk about not just where we think the county should go, but what the people of this county are facing. They're every day they're getting in their car, they're going to work, whether it's in Montgomery County or somewhere else, or they commute somewhere else, and they're facing longer drive times, keeps them away from their family. Mobility continues to be an issue. Every year they're getting higher tax bills, and they're seeing the county spending accelerating at an alarming rate. I don't believe that reflects the values of the people that live in Montgomery County. It doesn't reflect my values. It's not the way I would go about it. And those are some things that I think we need to address. We can't continue to let those things continue to spiral out of control and not address them. Not when you're the 7th fastest growing county in the United States.
Right.
It'll become an exponential problem.
So back up a little bit, and because we just got a text, somebody said Axum Jacks.
Axum Jacks, indeed.
Yeah, I should say her name because she took the time. Sherry Morgan.
Sherry.
Convention Visitors Bureau.
Awesome.
I love you, man.
Thank you, Sherry.
And I had a couple of other ones. I'm not going to say what they said. No, they didn't say anything bad.
They were probably Bearcats.
Yep. And then
you got a Bearcat sitting over here, so you better be careful.
He can change. He can make
Nathan
the voice.
Nathan said the show was about me.
So let's back up and tell the listeners that are listening now, and that we'll share this with on YouTube and Channel 12. Tell us about Brian. Yeah. Go back to where you're from, what you did in your life.
Oh, man.
Definitely got to talk about Amber.
Yes. Actually, her birthday was Tuesday. She's a 4th of July baby. So we had a great time, shoot fireworks, and it's a double doozy. Is Happy Birthday America and Amber. So it's always a big holiday. We have a bedroom in our house that's nothing but red, white, and blue.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. She's got this old quilt that goes on a bed. That's the bed's actually her. I'm gonna get this wrong, and she's gonna chastise me when I get home. But it's like her great grandparents' bed, and it's this beautiful American flag quilt that goes over it. So it's
cool.
It's gorgeous. But
so where are you from? What'd you do? Who are you?
The short version of that is I was born in Nederland, Texas, just south of Beaumont. Dad worked in refineries moved around, ended up in Dickinson, Texas. Like I mentioned a while ago, graduated high school there. And from there, I traveled to God's country, which is Nacogdoches, Texas. I spent 5 years in Nacogdoches. Loved every minute of it.
And that was just getting the associate's degree. 5 years.
That was just,
degree.
yes, that was the associate. I have a brother that likes to remind me of the Tommy Boy scene. Yeah, a lot of people spent 5 years in college. They're called doctors. He gives me grief. But that area is where my family historically is originally from. And so not being far from my grandparents, it was almost like going to a second home. Loved it. I actually have the honor of serving on the board of directors for the Alumni Association now. My wife's where I met my wife, and I for all the grief, go back and forth with the SAM, with the Bearcats in the community. We feel a very strong tie to our school because it gave us, just about everything we've got. I mean, from our education to meeting each other. So we're very, very thankful for that. But anyway,
you're known for wearing purple too.
I am known for wearing a little bit of purple.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of purple.
Exactly.
So I bounced around a little bit after that. Amber and I got married in 2007 and actually just had our 10th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
In May, and then 2 months after getting married, we moved up here, moved to Montgomery County.
Where'd you move from?
Houston, downtown.
Okay.
And this is, like a lot of people, this is where we chose to make our home. We were living downtown and knew that's not where we wanted to stay, and could have gone anywhere. We didn't have any ties other than the metropolitan area. But looking at it, there was really no question. There was one place we wanted to go.
Yeah.
And that was for both of us being from East Texas, the trees, the pine trees of Montgomery County, it reminded us of home. It was the closest thing to home. So it's where we made home.
So what do you do?
What do? I'm a regional sales manager for Engineered Solutions. So for 15 plus years, I take products, non-traditional products, and we work to provide cost-effective, cost-savings engineered solutions, going in and taking traditional design methodologies and kind of changing and giving an alternative design method. And usually in a lot of cases, able to save quite a bit of money, time, and so it's fun.
Who would be like a client of yours? Who would be a customer?
Depends, and it's a twofold. So we actually sell the product, and then that goes through distribution. So I have distributors that I work closely with and getting the product distributed throughout Texas and Oklahoma. But then I also spend a lot of time with engineers on the front end side of design. These are the characteristics we need to look at. This is what we need to do, making sure that it's the right fit, because what we do is not always the right fit. And sometimes you got to be big enough to say, no, not us, maybe next time. But then also working them through the project management, getting through the installation, and making sure it's done right. Because I can say the greatest, like we always say to an engineer, they can put together the best plans in the world, and I can sell them the best products in the world. But if it's not installed correctly,
right? So how is what you're doing for a living, what you do day in and day out, what pays the bills, how would that help you in what you're looking at doing as a commissioner?
It's a great question. I think my experience and exposure to all levels of construction will help. I think my exposure and being around project management and managing those things for them, anticipating, knowing what the timeline is and what the process is to get through projects, I think that'll help. It'll help me to be more engaged. It'll help me to be stay on top of it and anticipate things that may be a hindrance.
Okay.
Or an obstacle. Yeah.
Wow. So we'll be taking a break, just a short little break in a minute. But before we do, what's Amber's thoughts? How hard was this?
You know what? I've got an amazing wife. So she's fully supportive. She's ready to go. I left this house this morning and she was excited. So I got home late last night and she was waiting on me and she's like, well, how's it going? And I'm like, it's blowing up. And so, she is extremely excited. She's very supportive. I'm lucky to have her.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to take a short little break right now. And when we come back, let's dig in a little deeper as to the process, the decisions you made to run, and deeper as to why. What are some things that you want to do and how you think and feel that you can be better for this community and what you can do to make things better. Does that sound cool?
Perfect. Look forward to
Awesome. Folks, Nathan Arrazate, Montgomery County Lifestyle with Brian Dawson, candidate for Commissioner Precinct 2 on Lone Star Community Radio. And guess what? We'll be right back.
All right. I know I'm interrupting the show for you, but this is Dick telling you to make sure to check out Mornings with Lone Star's YouTube channel. I know Lone Star Community Radio has a lot of shows, but I do a lot of great interviews too. So that's usually what I put on my YouTube page. Just look up Mornings with Lone Star. I'm right there. Hit the subscribe button. Check me out every time after I have an interview. More information on my lineup and who's coming in, irlonestar.com/MWLS for Mornings with Lone Star. So make sure to check it out.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app for your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That is Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
All righty, folks. Good morning again, Friday morning here in Montgomery County. We are back. You're listening to Montgomery County Lifestyle, Nathan Arrazate on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. You can always listen to it on iHeartLoneStar.com. Download the app. Go to Google Play. Go to iTunes. Listen to it on the YouTube channel. You've got Lone Star Community Radio YouTube channel. You got Montgomery County Lifestyle YouTube channel. Oh, my God. That's right. You can go to Montgomery County Lifestyle Facebook. Hello. You can just see all kinds of stuff about the community. I've been out of town, so I've been kind of preoccupied, and I have not had a chance to push as much. I'm fixing to show you a whole lot more of what's going on in the community, between events, between concerts, between festivals and parties, nonprofits that need help. Keith Walls, who needs you to come eat his food, him and Stephen Nailway from Twisted Barbecue Brothers stuff, just fun stuff. And we're fixing to get into 2018. We're fixing to get into political scene here in Montgomery County, and God, I pray it doesn't get like I'm afraid it's going to get. And my guest today, Brian Dawson, who is running, just announced candidacy for Commissioner Precinct 2. God, I know the guy, I know Charlie, and these two guys are not the gotcha kind of guys. They're not the game players. So, man, supporters and followers, don't screw it up for your people and be idiots. Don't trash it and muddy it up. It's going to get muddy because we've got those people that like doing that. You know, I'll tell you something, Brian, and and maybe it's me, but about a year and a half ago or so, when the Texas Conservative Tea Party Coalition, and we had the big forum here at the Crichton Theater, Lone Star Community Radio was a big part of that. Dick was doing it live and all that. And so about that time, there had been one of those fake, hidden, like Montgomery County Watch, or that's not the name, or Election Watch, or Concerned Citizens, or something. And it just seemed like one of those little stirring up kind of things. So I sent a message to them, and they wouldn't tell me who it was. You know me. You see me all the time. I'm like, well, then who are you? Well, when we see each other again, I'll tell you. Well, why can't you tell me now? But I need you to help support me and promote my site. Why do we have to turn politics that way, dude? I know it's a loaded question, huh?
Well, I think that, anonymity is a double-edged sword. I find it, I'm usually not too critical of it because I'm a big fan of our founding fathers, and I'm a big fan of Benjamin Franklin, and he was known to have over a dozen pseudonyms that he wrote. I think that the difference is what you see written and what you see said.
Right.
And I mean, if you look at the Federalist Papers, some of the founding documents that are used by the Supreme Court still, some of those were written in pseudonyms. We know now who it was, but it goes back to what it says. It goes back to what you said earlier about respectful dialogue.
Right.
They were fearful at the time for
They're
reprisal.
fearful of life.
Yes, and reprisal. And so they hid their name, but but they also didn't resort always. And there were some, you always have some, but for the larger part, they didn't resort. So, that's why I say anonymity is a double-edged sword, because, I certainly don't want to condemn our founding fathers.
So when we went to the break, we talked about, tell us a little more, dig in a little bit more. What are some of the topics?
Right.
What is Brian Dawson going to bring to the table? What is Brian going to do
Right.
if he's elected? What would you do?
So I identified three things earlier when I mentioned it. I said taxes, spending, and mobility, and I'd like to spend a minute on that last one if we can. We have no mobility plan for Precinct 2, much less a comprehensive mobility plan for Montgomery County. What you will find and what you will hear is that a lot of people will point to the major thoroughfare plan. And the analogy that someone, a supporter of mine, gave me in discussing this was, actually yesterday gave me this analogy, so I'm going to steal it and use it, is the major thoroughfare plan, that's the list you give Santa Claus every Christmas. Your mobility plan, that's your grocery list. You don't take your Santa Claus list to the grocery store.
Okay.
And what that means to kind of dig into it a little more and give you some details on that. The major thoroughfare plan has it's expansive. It has no timeline. It's not necessarily needs based, and it doesn't attach any value to the projects on it. Just says, okay, over this time, this is the roads you may need, and it's large in part used in to help in identifying for right-of-way acquisition. Sorry. Whereas a mobility plan gives you a priority list. Okay, 1 to 5 years you need to do this. 5 to 10 years you need to do this, and it attaches values to those and costs to those projects. So you can say, okay, in the next 5 years we need X amount of dollars to meet our mobility plan. In the 5 to 10 year mark, we need this. It also accounts for impact versus cost, and say, okay, while this project may be significantly more expensive, it's going to provide this large of an impact, or vice versa. Let's do this one because the impact is pretty significant, but the cost is rather low. It gives you that data, and it takes some of the capricious decision making out of what projects are being built and what projects are being done. It gives quantifiable data as to this is our plan, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to execute it, and it gives a clear direction on what we're going to do.
So at what point, how do you differentiate Precinct 2 has things they need to do, and the county overall has things? How do you break down? Do you just focus only on like mobility plan and stuff like that for your precinct? Do you not really worry about the other ones? At what point do you just kind of go, that's not my problem, but yet then it is because it's a county problem?
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that's a fine line.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that's tough.
And you've got to, that's why you've got to have a working relationship with the other three commissioners and the judge. Precinct 3 has a mobility plan. They did it several years ago. A commissioner can only control their precinct, but it goes back to those relationships. You've got to have the ability to talk and work with everyone else, whether you always agree with them, always disagree with them. For the point you just made, you've got to be able to work with them and develop a working relationship, because you're right. The only people that see precinct lines are commissioners and candidates. You don't see them.
Right.
The taxpayers don't see them. The people of Montgomery County don't see them. I would argue probably the vast majority would be hard pressed to identify what those lines are.
Right.
And they shouldn't have to. They shouldn't see that. So to answer, that's a long way of answering it, but we need one for the precinct. But I also, there's a longer term goal of working to have one for the county as well.
So we're hearing a lot of buzz out there. One of the buzzwords is budget. We're coming into that.
Yep.
You've got one person screaming, cut it 5%, 10%, this and that. Then you got somebody screaming, well, I did it. Then you got somebody screaming, well, they didn't. And okay, so talk about that. Talk about what's going on as far as that goes.
I will say we do need to rein in our spending growth. Okay. Just to give you some hard numbers, the budget we passed that was approved, posted on the website right now on the auditor's webpage was for fiscal year 2015 was a $301 million budget. The one that was passed last September for fiscal year 17 was a $377 million budget. That's $76 million in 2 years.
Wow.
And to give you some comparison, just to kind of give you some scope, you hear a lot of people talking about peer counties. I look to Collin County, just north of Dallas. They're growing on a pace close to Montgomery counties. They're actually about 250,000 people higher. In fiscal year 2015, their budget was about 300,000 more than ours, but it was basically 301 million. Their current budget's only 328. So 27 million versus our 76 million.
Is any of that, though, is any of it that, we got caught behind the 8 ball and we sat around and didn't do enough? How much is spending out of control and people don't care? And I don't know. So
and that's a great question. So if you look at it, it's a little bit all over the place. If it was all in infrastructure and we were paying as we go, there's an argument to be made for that, but it's not. If it was all in law enforcement and we had a law enforcement issue we needed to address, and that's where significant investments were made. Okay, but it wasn't. And that's the concern I've got. Yes, we did start a capital improvements fund, but it was, I think, $13 million. 13 million of 76 is less than 20%. That's pretty significant. And I think if you add in the law enforcement increases, I think you're probably still less than 50%. And I didn't run that comparison, but that's what I'm talking about, that level of growth. It's not like spending has gone up at that rate and we've increased our pay as we go on infrastructure projects and needs of the county. We haven't. Because at the same time, we've also increased our debt. Everybody knows we had the hard-fought 2 bond elections in 2015. So we're incurring additional debt at the rate of tens of millions of dollars while we're increasing our spending at tens of millions of dollars a year. And they both can't continue at that pace.
And we won't get into too much detail, about this time we take a quick little minute break. What would you say are the 2 biggest topics, 2 biggest things that you want to address if you're elected? Just name off 2 things that are very important to you, that whether it separates you from the incumbent or not, it's just something that you just think you need to jump on and it's going to hit the ground running.
So mobility, we talked about that at length a few minutes ago, and then the budget process. Right now, if you sit through the budget hearings, which is 2 weeks from the budget workshop starting in 2 weeks, what you see is what I classify as a typical tax and spend culture, and it has rooted itself and kind of developed and flourished. What you see is, okay, this is our tax rate. What is our certified valuation for the county? Great. How do we slice up this revenue? Okay. And where do we want to spend it? And to me, that is the absolute, especially when you're talking about taxpayer dollars, that is the absolute wrong way to go about developing a budget. You don't start at that number and then break it up.
So let's do this. Let's take the break. Jake, the engineer, is over there going, gotta take a break. And when we come back, I want you to dive into that, and I want particulars on that. Okay? Because that's a hot topic.
Absolutely.
And that's my money you're spending. Folks, Montgomery County Lifestyle with Nathan Arrazate, Brian Dawson, candidate, Commissioner Precinct 2. We'll be right back.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors.
Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
All righty, folks. Montgomery County Lifestyle with Nathan Arrazate. We're back on Lone Star Community Radio. Talking to Brian Dawson. Just announced his candidacy, worldwide premiere for Commissioner Precinct 2. I forecast that to be a hard race for everybody, only because it's passionate. Charlie's been in the county for a long time. It's just people get passionate. You're going to have passionate people. He's going to have passionate people. But I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you coming here. I hope we didn't upset Catherine Dominguez and everything. I had to throw that out. I told him I wasn't going to do it, and I did it. Andy, Catherine, how you doing? Yeah, hello. I did it. Sorry, Melanie. I just had to do it. That was me. What I just said has nothing to do with Brian Dawson or anybody in his campaign. That was Nathan Arrazate. He just had to do it. I had to. God, I'm so sorry. Shame on me. But it is because we're talking about money. We're talking about my money. We're talking about my dad is fixing to sell one of his homes, but talking about his appraisals are freaking ridiculous. I tried to help go down and fight one of them, and we were treated like idiots. Idiots. I even had a board member just say she was just embarrassed at the way one individual talked to my dad. Not me, but my dad. And so a lot's going to come out about a lot of different things across the board. You know, we've got we got treasurer, we got some JPs, we've got so many things coming. A lot of judges are coming up for re-election too. So it's going to get heated. What is it about the budget? I got a feeling that's going to become heated because people will take it personal. What do you think needs to be done? What are you going to do that you think is not being done now?
We need to change. Thanks for the question. We need to change the process. The way you budget, you will find no successful private entity that says, how much money do we have? Okay, how do we want to break this up? We need to go the opposite direction. What are our needs? Okay, and line item by line item, develop our needs. What's it going to take to satisfy those needs? Okay, do we have that revenue? Yes or no? Do we need to make some cuts? Or can we return money back to the taxpayers? Doing that, changing the budget cycle, and this is why I picked that as one of the two. That will help rein in the spending like I talked about just a second ago, and it'll also help with the taxes. Because we've heard a lot in the news about the issues with appraisals and skyrocketing appraisals, and there's no doubt that is an issue, and that needs to be addressed. The governor's labeled that as a priority issue going into the special session. I know that our representatives and state senators will be working on that, and they're pushing to address it. But the part that tends to be overlooked is the tax rate, what is solely controlled by county and driven by county spending. It is a mathematic formula. So if we can control spending and our spending growth and allows us to lower that rate, we can lessen the burden. Just to give you an example, going back to my comparison that I made a while ago about Montgomery and Collin County, over that same time frame, the tax rate in Montgomery County has gone down 2%, but large in part, the people of Montgomery County have experienced tax increases. They've paid more each year for the same piece of property. Collin County's, they've reduced their tax rate by 11.3% in 2 years.
How'd they do it?
Spending control. I mean, I gave you the numbers a while ago. Their spending growth went from 301 to 328. So $27 million versus $76 million. That's a big part of it. taking that approach allows us to do things. They're at what we call, or what is in the budget as the effective tax rate, meaning while they may increase their spending from new property coming on, we've got a lot of developments coming online in Montgomery County that's adding new property to the tax rolls. So while they may be, spending more money because they're getting tax revenue from there, individual properties are not paying more year over year to the county in taxes.
Okay.
And we're to the point, Montgomery County is a little unique in the sense that we're largely unincorporated, but it's time we give and work to protect the taxpayers and give them significant relief.
Brian, we talked about this, how quick this would go. Guess what? It's already 11:50.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to do. I want to have you back for you to talk about some things, and then I'm going to do a little more research myself. I never get into it being about me interviewing and throwing stuff, pushing anybody against the wall the first time or two, because I want this to be your voice, and I don't want to be known as somebody who's, might slam you. And that goes with Charlie, that goes with our treasurer, that goes with our JPs and tax, any elected official, our judges. Please come on. This is your chance to talk about your stuff. But when you come back, I'm going to get a little more detailed questions to you and stuff like that too. And hopefully the incumbent will come on. You guys, maybe want to come on and do a debate. But before we leave, we just got a minute or two. Wrap it up. What do the listeners need to know about you and your plan? And then how can they get in touch with you? How can they tell you what they want? How can they, if they choose to support you, how do they find you?
So to wrap it up, I've got a plan. I've identified 3 issues for this campaign. They're going to be paramount to this campaign, and there's a plan for each one of them to make sure that in 4 years, those are still not the main issues. That in 4 years, we can say, look, for spending, we've done this to address it. For taxes, we've done this to address it. For mobility, we've done this to address it. And, point to significant changes and significant headway made in each one of those issues. That's what I tell you. If those are important to you, then we've got a plan to address them, and we want you on our team. You're right. It's going to be a hard campaign. I'm going to need help. I don't know of any other way to do it than grassroots and with the people, because after all, that's who we represent, and that's who this is about. As far as getting a hold of me, the Facebook page is the best way. You can find me rather easily, either my personal page or the campaign page that's out there. My email address for the campaign is dawsoncampaign@gmail.com. And those are really the 2 best ways to get a hold of me. They've been blowing up for yesterday and today, so I'm getting to responses as quickly as possible. But I want to hear from anyone. Questions, want to help, any of it. Look forward to having you.
Cool. Brian Dawson.
Yes, sir.
Candidate, Montgomery County Commissioner Precinct 2. Thank you for being here today. And a friend of mine, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. The community appreciates it. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
I hope this is a great race. And I just, I hope the person that God wants in there is in there. I wish you both the best, and I wish you the best. And I thank you for being here. This was fun. Mm-hmm. But notice how we just run out of time.
We ran out of time. You said we would.
I know. We always do.
You said we would.
So thank you. And folks, I'm going to put on Montgomery County Lifestyle later today, how to get a hold of Brian. I'm not going to release the YouTube video until tomorrow morning. Friday nights are terrible nights to do that. So if you're listening now, look for the YouTube video tomorrow. If you're not listening now, if you're listening now and you want to go back and listen more, share it with your friends. Other people need to know. People need to get involved. So I'll release it in the morning. Folks, you're listening to Montgomery County Lifestyle with Nathan Arrazate on Lone Star Community Radio. Go have a good weekend. Go find something positive. I dedicated this show and then just to Lou, my father-in-law, and his family. And just go tell your loved ones you love them. And just be good. Montgomery County Lifestyle, Nathan Arrazate. This is your county, your life. So dadgummit, live it with good style. We'll see you, folks.
Thanks for checking out this podcast of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. If you enjoyed this recording, make sure to check out our past shows online at irlonestar.com or their respective video or podcast formats on YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the show, either it being about sponsorships or questions for the host, contact the station manager at dick@irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776. This show was recorded in downtown Conroe, Texas at the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, and Lone Star Community Radio reserves all rights to this recording and images.